Lauren adjusted her seat as she drove toward her parents' home for Thanksgiving dinner. The sun in Ridgeport had already dipped low, casting soft orange streaks across the sky and reflecting against her windshield. She carried a warm apple cinnamon pie on the passenger seat, the same dessert she brought every year. Before I continue, kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us where you're watching from. At 32, Lauren had fought for every inch of stability in her life. Her parents, Linda and Peter, believed in teaching independence, which in practice meant offering Khloe every advantage while expecting Lauren to figure things out alone. She started working at 16 in a small, dusty bookstore downtown, where she learned the weight of every dollar. In college, the difference between the sisters widened. While Lauren stretched her paycheck to cover textbooks and shivered through winter in a thin coat she couldn't afford to replace, Khloe spent Christmas on Seabreeze Island with their parents, posting smiling photos under palm trees. The memory lingered like a bruise, quiet but unforgettable. Still, Lauren stayed focused. She worked late nights, skipped vacations, and lived on simple meals just to keep her future alive. Tonight, driving home again, she wondered if this Thanksgiving would finally be different, or exactly the same. After college, Lauren accepted a modest administrative role at Ridgeport Medical Center. Her apartment at the time was barely large enough for a bed and a small couch, but she joked with coworkers that the cramped space built character. She ate ramen most nights and walked everywhere to save gas money. Every spare dollar went straight into her savings. At 27, after years of sacrifice, her effort finally paid off. She purchased her first home, a worn but hopeful fixer-upper that smelled of new paint and possibilities. Her parents never visited, offering excuses that stung more than silence. 5 years later, she bought her second property, a modern 2-bedroom apartment downtown, perfect for renting. She spent every weekend repainting walls, updating light fixtures, and polishing floors, preparing it for tenants. During a casual phone call about Thanksgiving plans, Lauren mentioned she was fixing up the new place. She heard a strange pause in her mother's voice, followed by a flat "that's nice," but nothing more. Lauren brushed it off. She didn't know that tone would become the first warning, one she wouldn't recognize until much later. Thanksgiving arrived wrapped in the familiar smell of roasted turkey and spices. The moment Lauren stepped into her parents' house, she felt tension settle around her like a heavy sweater she couldn't take off. Khloe was already there, dressed head to toe in designer clothes their parents had surely paid for. "Hey, big sis," Khloe said with a smirk. "So tell me about this new apartment of yours." Lauren kept her tone calm as she set her pie down. "It's just an investment property. 2 bedrooms. Good location." Khloe leaned closer, eyes bright with mischief. "Nice. Any clubs nearby? Maybe I'll come crash sometime." Lauren forced a polite laugh, unaware that Khloe was already building plans in her head. Dinner began quietly. Linda carved the turkey while Peter poured wine. The family chatted about weather and holiday sales until Khloe cleared her throat dramatically. "So, Lauren," she announced, loud enough to silence the entire table, "Mom and Dad said I can move into your new apartment next week." Lauren froze, fork suspended halfway to her mouth, wondering if she had misheard, or if her family had finally crossed a line they couldn't step back from. "I'm sorry, what?" Lauren asked, lowering her fork slowly. Linda smiled as though the conversation were harmless. "Well, sweetheart, you already have your own house. Khloe needs a place, and it just makes sense." Lauren blinked, stunned. "Makes sense to who?" Peter leaned back casually. "You make good money. You can afford to help your sister." Khloe beamed as if everything were already arranged. "I was thinking Tuesday would be a good move-in day. Does that work for you?" Lauren inhaled deeply, masking the sharp sting in her chest. She smiled sweetly. "No, Khloe. Thursday sounds perfect." Her parents exchanged approving glances, misinterpreting her tone entirely. Khloe clapped her hands. "Perfect. I'll rent a U-Haul." Lauren nodded once. "Thanks for letting me know about the decision you all made without me." Peter muttered, "Don't be dramatic." Lauren stood calmly. "I'm not being dramatic. I'm realizing how comfortable everyone is making choices about my life." The rest of dinner passed with forced small talk. Khloe chatted excitedly about decorating her new apartment while Lauren quietly planned the move no one expected. That night, Lauren drove home with her jaw tight and her heartbeat steady, the kind of calm that settles right before a storm. By the time she pulled into her driveway, her plan had already formed with crystal clarity. She went straight to her laptop, opened the folder of renovation photos, and uploaded them to 3 rental sites: Ridgeport Rentals, Zillow, and Apartments.com. The headline read, "Beautiful downtown 2-bedroom, available immediately." She wrote the listing carefully, double-checked for errors, and hit publish. Within minutes, inquiries began flooding her phone. She felt her shoulders relax as she whispered, "Let's see how they like Thursday now." On Black Friday morning, while the rest of Ridgeport hunted for discounts, Lauren answered messages from prospective tenants. By midday she had scheduled 10 showings. Saturday brought 8 more viewings, each person wandering through the sunlit rooms with interest. Sunday morning, a woman named Paige arrived with printed documents, glowing references, and quiet confidence. "This place is perfect," Paige said. "When can I move in?" Lauren smiled, feeling something shift inside her. "As soon as we sign the lease," she replied. Paige nodded. "Then let's make it official." On Monday morning, Lauren met Paige at a quiet cafe downtown. The air carried the warm scent of roasted beans and fresh pastries as they sat at a small corner table. Lauren slid the lease agreement across the polished wood surface. Paige read each page carefully, nodding once before signing with steady confidence. Then she handed Lauren 3 checks: first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit. "You've been the easiest landlord I've ever met," Paige said warmly. "If it's all right, I'll start moving boxes in on Wednesday." Lauren smiled, a genuine relief blooming in her chest. "It's your apartment now. Move in whenever you'd like." That evening, after work, she curled up on her couch with a cup of tea. Her phone buzzed, a text from Khloe. "Just confirming. I'll move in Thursday at 2 p.m. Already booked the U-Haul." Lauren stared at the message for a long moment before replying with a single thumbs-up emoji. No explanation. No argument. Just acknowledgement. She placed the phone face down, turned off notifications, and exhaled deeply. The decision was made. The wheels were already turning. And for the first time in a long while, Lauren felt firmly, silently, unshakably in control. By Wednesday afternoon, Paige texted cheerful updates as she moved her belongings into the apartment. She sent a photo of neatly stacked boxes in the sunlit living room, captioned, "This already feels like home." Lauren typed back, "Welcome home," then tucked her phone away. She slept soundly that night, peaceful in a way she hadn't felt all week. The next day, at exactly 1:45 p.m., her phone rang during a meeting at Ridgeport Medical Center. The caller ID flashed Mom. Lauren stepped into the hallway before answering. "Lauren." Linda's voice thundered through the speaker. "What on earth is going on?" "Khloe is at your apartment and strangers are moving furniture inside." Lauren kept her tone steady. "They are not strangers, Mom. That's my tenant. She signed a lease on Monday." Silence. Then an explosion of indignation. "You knew Khloe was moving in today." Linda snapped. "You said Thursday was fine." Lauren replied calmly, "I sent a thumbs-up emoji, Mom. That's acknowledgement, not agreement." Linda sputtered, furious. "You're playing word games." "No," Lauren said gently. "I'm following the law." She braced herself as her father's voice cut in, cold and sharp. The storm had only just begun. "Fix this immediately," Peter demanded, his voice vibrating with anger. "Tell that tenant there's been a mistake." Lauren closed her eyes briefly. "There is no mistake. Paige has a signed lease and already paid." "I don't care what she paid," he snapped. "Your sister is standing outside with a U-Haul full of furniture." "Then she should return it before she's charged for another day," Lauren answered softly. Her father's rage crackled through the phone. "You're choosing money over family." Lauren leaned against the wall, steady as stone. "No, Dad. I'm choosing self-respect over manipulation." The call ended abruptly, leaving a ringing silence. Within minutes, her phone lit up with a barrage of messages. Angry texts from Linda and Peter, crying videos from Khloe, accusations of betrayal and heartlessness. Khloe sent a dramatic clip of herself sobbing in the U-Haul, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Another showed her sitting on the curb outside the apartment wailing, "She took everything from me." Lauren watched none of them. She muted the group chat, turned off notifications, and returned to her meeting. By day's end she had 4 to 7 missed calls and 12 videos from Khloe. She made a cup of tea, sat in silence, and let peace fill the spaces their noise once occupied. The following morning, the receptionist gently knocked on Lauren's office door. Lauren?"
Your mom is on line 1 again.
That's the 5th time today. Lauren looked up briefly from her computer. Please tell her I'm in meetings all day. The receptionist nodded nervously. And, about the emails?
Lauren raised an eyebrow.
The receptionist grimaced. There are 23.
All from your parents.
Subjects like family emergency and immediate response required.
Lauren sighed. Move them all to spam.
The harassment continued for days. Khloe flooded Instagram with tearful selfies labeled "When family destroys you" and "Betrayed by blood."
Linda left long voicemails dripping with guilt.
Peter sent emails calling her selfish and cold. Meanwhile, Paige proved to be an ideal tenant, paying rent early, fixing a running toilet without complaint, and even sending Lauren a thank you note. Loved the place.
Grateful for a smooth move-in.
For the first time in years, Lauren realized strangers sometimes treated her better than family ever had. Nearly a week later, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered.
Her father's voice was low and hard. This is your last chance. Evict the tenant.
Give the apartment to Khloe, or you're out of this family.
Lauren took a slow breath.
I'm not evicting someone who did nothing wrong.
Her father scoffed.
Then you're no longer our daughter. Lauren's voice stayed steady. I understand. You understand, he barked. You'll regret this. Maybe, she replied softly. But at least my choices are mine.
She hung up, heart steady, not shaken.
Over the next several weeks, the emotional onslaught intensified. Khloe sent 20 more crying videos, each more dramatic than the last. One of her lying on her bedroom floor, another of her shouting at the camera that Lauren had destroyed her future.
Lauren stopped watching entirely.
Linda shifted tactics, sending long guilt-laced emails about motherhood, sacrifice, and family loyalty.
Lauren ignored them all.
She discovered that silence, when used with intention, was its own form of strength. By February, the chaos finally quieted.
The calls slowed.
The guilt softened into a dull background hum. Then one afternoon, while shopping at Market Haven, Lauren ran into her Aunt Marian. Lauren, dear, Marian said gently, adjusting her glasses. How are you holding up?
Lauren smiled politely. I'm doing well. Marian sighed. Your parents are telling people you abandoned them.
But, Lauren, everyone always noticed how differently they treated you and Khloe.
Lauren nodded slowly.
For the first time, she felt seen, not pitted, not judged.
Seen.
3 months after the Thanksgiving fallout, Lauren received a certified letter. The envelope bore her parents' names in formal type, stiff and impersonal. She signed for it at the post office, tore it open, and read the single-page announcement. Due to your disregard for family values, you are hereby disinherited.
A faint laugh escaped her. The postal clerk raised an eyebrow. Bad news? He asked. Not really, she said, folding the letter neatly.
You can't lose what you never had. When she got home, she placed the letter in a drawer and poured herself a glass of wine. Her parents had long since drained their savings on Khloe's endless expenses, car repairs, shopping sprees, credit card debts. There was nothing left to inherit except stress. Disinherited, she murmured, amused. That's rich. She tossed her phone aside, made a simple dinner, and enjoyed the quiet. The apartment she had once renovated alone now felt like a fortress of peace. In early April, an unexpected email arrived from Crestview Health, a well-respected clinic across town. They invited her for an interview for a director-level position. We've heard strong things about your leadership, the message read. Lauren stared at the screen, stunned but grateful.
A new door was opening. Lauren attended the interview the following week. It went better than she imagined.
The administrators at Crestview Health admired her efficiency, her steady temperament, and the firmness with which she handled crisis. 2 days later, they called with an offer, Director of Operations. The salary was nearly double what she made before. When she hung up, she leaned back in her chair, whispering, "New chapter." The promotion introduced her to Dr. Ryan Hale, a cardiac surgeon with a warm smile and sharp focus. They met when he urgently needed a supply issue resolved. "You're my miracle worker," he joked after she fixed the problem in under an hour.
Lauren smiled. "Just doing my job."
"At least let me buy you coffee," he insisted.
Coffee became lunch.
Lunch became dinner. 3 months later, they were officially dating. One sunny Tuesday, Nearly a year after the apartment drama, Lauren sat in a cafe eating a turkey sandwich when she overheard two women chatting at the next table. One was Mrs. Dalton, her parents' neighbor. "It's tragic," Mrs. Dalton said. "Their older daughter abandoned them. Poor things. And the younger one still can't find her own place." Lauren paused, then took another bite of her sandwich. Some lies, she decided, weren't worth correcting. 2 weeks later, her cousin Sophie stopped by her office unannounced, holding an envelope addressed in elegant handwriting. "Hey," Sophie said, stepping inside with a gentle smile. "I came to give you your wedding invitation. But also, I wanted to tell you something." Lauren leaned back in her chair. "What's that?" Sophie hesitated, then spoke softly. "Everyone knew how unfair your parents were to you. Even when we were kids, Christmas, birthdays, everything, they praised Khloe for the smallest things and ignored you. What you did with that apartment, it wasn't cruel. It was necessary." Lauren's throat tightened with a strange blend of relief and sadness. "Thank you, Sophie. That means more than you think." They began meeting for coffee occasionally, slowly rebuilding a family connection Lauren never expected to have again. One afternoon, while shopping for a work event at Ridgeport Mall, Lauren rounded a corner and froze. Khloe stood a few steps away, surrounded by two friends. Khloe's smirk appeared instantly. "Well, look who it is," she sneered. "The sister who ruined my life." Her friends shifted awkwardly. Lauren kept her voice calm. "Hello, Khloe." But Khloe wasn't interested in civility. The confrontation was coming. "You could have helped me," Khloe snapped, stepping closer. "Instead, you chose greed." Lauren exhaled slowly. "No, Khloe. I chose peace." Khloe's voice rose, drawing attention from passers-by. "You act so perfect, but you'll always be alone." Lauren didn't flinch. "Alone is better than being used." One of Khloe's friends tugged her sleeve, whispering, "Let's go." The other nodded, sensing the embarrassment growing with every word. But Khloe refused to leave. "You ruined everything for me," she shouted, her face burning red. Lauren simply turned away and walked in the opposite direction, refusing to be pulled back into the chaos. For the first time, she didn't feel anger, only freedom. 2 weeks later, a text arrived from Sophie. "You need to see what your mom posted on Facebook." Lauren opened the app. Linda had posted, "Some children grow up grateful. Others forget the hands that fed them. Money can't buy morals." The post had hundreds of sympathetic comments. Lauren closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and felt something inside her settle. She had stayed silent long enough. That night, she opened her laptop and began typing a post of her own. If her parents wanted the story public, she would give the world the truth, calmly, clearly, and without apology. Lauren's post was simple, factual, and devastatingly honest. She wrote about working since 16, putting herself through school, buying 2 homes without support, and how Khloe had expected to move into her property rent-free. She ended the message with, "If self-respect looks like selfishness to some, I can live with that." Within hours, the post went viral. Old classmates, co-workers, neighbors, and distant relatives commented with support. By morning, her mother's original post had vanished, but the ripple effect remained. Messages poured in from aunts and cousins who had only ever heard Khloe's version of events. "We had no idea," one cousin wrote. "You were always the responsible one. They just didn't appreciate you." Lauren responded politely but maintained distance. She wasn't looking for validation, only truth. 3 days later, her phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. She answered cautiously. Her mother's voice was cold. "Take it down," Linda demanded. "You're humiliating us." Lauren leaned back in her chair. "You humiliated yourselves when you tried to claim my property." "We're still your parents," Linda argued. "You disowned me, remember?" Lauren replied. "You can't have it both ways." Linda sighed sharply. "If you delete it, maybe we can talk about reconciliation." "I don't want reconciliation," Lauren said calmly. "I want peace." 2 more weeks passed before Lauren received another message, this time, a handwritten letter from her father. The envelope was plain, the handwriting uneven and familiar. She opened it slowly, expecting more anger, but instead found a surprising tone. "Lauren, your mother and I have had time to think. We made mistakes. We favored Khloe because we believed she needed us more. We see now that we failed you both.
If you are willing, we'd like to start over.
No demands, no expectations, just a conversation.
Lauren sat on her couch, the letter trembling slightly in her hand.
The words were imperfect, but they were the closest thing to accountability she had ever received. After a long moment, she picked up her phone and dialed the number written at the bottom.
Peter answered on the second ring. "Dad," she said gently.
"I'll meet you, but with conditions."
"Name them," he replied quietly. "Public place.
No guilt trips.
No money talk. And no forcing a reunion with Khloe."
There was a long pause, then, agreed. They chose a small cafe that Saturday. When Lauren arrived, her parents looked older, worn, and humbled. Linda's eyes were red as she whispered, "Thank you for coming." Lauren nodded silently, unsure of what healing might look like, but willing to find out. Her father spoke first, his voice softer than she remembered. "We spoiled Khloe and took you for granted," Peter said. "We expected you to be the strong one."
Lauren met his gaze. "Why?" Linda folded her hands tightly. "Khloe was premature. We almost lost her as a baby. After that, we couldn't say no to her. And you," she sighed. "You never needed us.
Or at least that's what we told ourselves."
Lauren swallowed.
"I didn't need you because I learned not to ask." Tears streamed down Linda's cheeks.
"We failed you, Lauren."
"And ironically, we failed her too."
Peter nodded slowly.
"After your Facebook post, we gave Khloe an ultimatum, get a job or move out."
Lauren raised her eyebrows.
"Really?"
"She's working at Westbrook Legal now," Linda added. 2 months so far.
She's renting a small apartment with a coworker, paying her own bills." Lauren gave a faint smile.
"Good.
Maybe this time she'll finally grow up." For the first time in years, their voices carried no anger, only reflection. The meeting ended not with hugs but with a quiet understanding. Healing wouldn't be instant, but something had shifted. A small door had opened, not wide, but enough. From that point on, Lauren met her parents once a month for coffee. The conversations were careful, honest, and surprisingly steady.
No guilt. No manipulation.
Just 3 people learning, slowly, how to relate without old wounds poisoning the air. Khloe refused to see her, avoiding family gatherings if Lauren was present.
That, Lauren decided, was fine.
Healing didn't require everyone to participate.
Sometimes peace meant leaving some doors closed.
Meanwhile, Ryan became a consistent presence in her life, a quiet anchor she didn't realize she'd needed. A year after they first met, he proposed on an ordinary evening, kneeling beside an open dishwasher with a simple ring. "You've rebuilt your world from ashes," he said, smiling up at her. "I want to spend my life protecting that peace."
Lauren's eyes filled with tears.
"You sure you can handle someone this stubborn?" she teased.
"I'm counting on it," he replied.
She laughed, whispering, "Yes." When Lauren told her parents, Linda actually cried. Not out of guilt, but genuine joy.
"He's good for you," she said softly.
"You deserve someone good." It wasn't a verbal apology, but the meaning was unmistakable.
For the first time, her parents were showing up the way she had once wished they would.
At the wedding planning dinner, Peter raised his glass with a solemn smile.
"To growth," he said.
"The hard kind, the kind that hurts before it heals."
Lauren lifted her glass, surprised to feel no bitterness in her chest.
Only gratitude for the long road she had survived.
Months passed as she prepared for her new life.
One evening, standing on her apartment balcony overlooking the city lights, she thought about how far she had come. The apartment that once caused chaos had become a symbol of her independence. Paige renewed her lease for another year, sending cheerful notes and early payments like clockwork. Khloe still kept her distance, but she was now working steadily, paying her own bills, and learning, slowly, to stand on her own. Lauren took a deep breath, the quiet breeze brushing against her cheeks. She whispered to herself, sometimes the best way to help someone grow is by stepping back. She had learned the painful truth that peace didn't always include everyone she loved.
Some relationships healed. Some faded. Some changed form entirely.
But in choosing herself, she discovered a strength that had always been there, waiting for the moment she finally stopped apologizing for it. Summer drifted into fall, and life wove itself into something quieter, steadier, more beautiful than Lauren expected. She excelled in her new role at Crestview Health, earning the respect of her colleagues and the admiration of Ryan's medical team. At home, she planned her wedding with a kind of joyful calm she had once believed was impossible. One afternoon, as she arranged sample flowers on her kitchen counter, her phone buzzed with a message from Sophie.
"Call me. It's important." Lauren dialed immediately. Sophie exhaled on the other end.
"Your mom posted something again," she said delicately.
Lauren closed her eyes for a moment.
"What did she say?"
Sophie hesitated.
She wrote, "Some children walk away from their family.
Others stay loyal.
Only one can sleep at night with a clear conscience."
Lauren sighed,
not in anger, but in resignation. Her parents had grown, yes,
but old habits resurfaced like echoes.
"Thanks for telling me," she said. "Are you going to respond?"
Sophie asked.
Lauren looked at the flowers, the soft colors she'd chosen, the serenity she'd built.
"No," she said gently.
"Some things don't deserve my energy anymore."
She set the phone aside.
Choosing peace, she realized, was not a single decision but a practice, one she finally felt strong enough to keep. Lauren spent the next few days reflecting on Sophie's warning, though she refused to let her mother's post disrupt her peace. Instead, she focused on her wedding preparations and her new life with Ryan. One Saturday morning, while choosing table linens with him at a decor shop, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from her father.
"Call me when you can."
Something about the shortness of the text felt different, not demanding, not emotional, simply human. Later that evening, she dialed him.
"Lauren," Peter began, "your mother deleted the post. She knows it was wrong."
"Old habits, they slip."
Lauren leaned against the counter. "I understand," she said softly.
"But I can't keep cleaning up after the mess."
"We're trying," he replied.
"We really are." She heard the sincerity in his voice, a small but meaningful shift.
"Dad,"
she said after a pause, "I don't want perfection.
Just respect."
"You have it," he answered. And for the first time, she believed him. After the call, Lauren stepped outside onto her balcony, watching the lights of Ridgeport flicker like distant stars. She felt something she hadn't felt in years, a steady, unshakable sense of belonging, not in her family, but in her own life. As the wedding drew closer, the tension with her parents slowly dissolved into something quieter, something workable. They attended cake tastings with her, helped review venue options, and stayed respectfully within the boundaries she set. Khloe, however, kept her distance. She didn't congratulate Lauren, didn't acknowledge the engagement, and didn't appear at any family gatherings. But Lauren had finally reached a place where her sister's absence no longer stung. One evening, while finalizing guest lists, Lauren received a brief message from Khloe. "I won't be attending."
Nothing more.
No explanation.
No hostility. Just distance.
Lauren read it twice before replying, "I wish you well."
She meant it.
Unexpectedly, Khloe responded minutes later, "Thanks." 2 letters, simple yet heavy with meaning. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was a beginning of quiet honesty, something the sisters had never shared before. Later that night, Ryan wrapped an arm around Lauren's shoulder.
"You okay?" he asked.
She nodded, resting her head against him.
"Yeah," she whispered.
"I think some people grow at different speeds. And maybe Khloe's finally taking her first step." The wedding day arrived beneath a warm morning sky, soft gold sunlight illuminating the garden venue. Lauren wore a simple yet elegant gown, her hair pulled back in gentle waves. When her father walked her down the aisle, he squeezed her hand with a mixture of pride and regret. Linda wiped her eyes from the front row, smiling through tears, not the guilty kind, but the grateful kind. When Lauren reached Ryan, he looked at her as if she were the only person in the world. The ceremony was intimate and filled with heartfelt vows. Ryan promised to protect the peace she had fought for. Lauren promised to build a future rooted in honesty, not survival. Guests clapped as they kissed, sealing a chapter that had taken years of struggle to write. Later, during the reception, Peter raised a glass once again. "To my daughter," he said, voice thick with emotion. "The strongest person I know. She taught us all how to grow, even when it was painful." Lauren's eyes shimmered, not with sadness but with recognition.
She had spent years trying to be seen.
Today, she was. Months later, Lauren stood on her balcony overlooking Ridgeport, the evening sky shifting from blue to lavender. Below her, the city buzzed softly, a hum of life carrying on. She thought back on every step that led her here. The lonely nights in her tiny apartment, the sacrifice, the boundaries she finally learned to draw, the courage it took to say no when everyone expected her to say yes. The apartment that once caused chaos had become a symbol of healing, a reminder that standing up for herself had reshaped her entire life. Paige continued to thrive as her tenant. Khloe continued working at Westbrook Legal, paying her own bills for the first time. Her parents continued rebuilding their relationship with her, slowly, respectfully, without pressure. And Ryan, now her husband, stepped onto the balcony and wrapped his arms around her. "Penny, for your thoughts," he whispered.
Lauren smiled.
"Just thinking how far I've come."
He kissed her temple.
"You did the hard work," he said. "You chose yourself." She breathed deeply, letting the cool air fill her lungs. "Setting boundaries isn't selfish," she murmured. "It saved my life." And as the city lights glowed beneath her, Lauren knew, with absolute clarity, that peace was no longer something she fought for.
It was something she lived in. Thank you for watching.
Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. If this story resonated with you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more stories that inspire strength. And don't forget to tell us where you're watching from today.